every linear equation can be written in something called slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form looks like this. Y equals mx plus b. Y and x are the variables that we use in linear graphing. The m you may recognize as a symbol that we use to stand for the slope. B is the letter that they've chosen to stand for the y-intercept. If you remember, the y-intercept is the point where your graph crosses the y-axis. What it does in this case is it gives us an ordered pair. It tells us that we have the ordered pair 0, b. b is the y value of the ordered pair where x is 0. So it's going to automatically tell us one point that right away we can put on our graph. Every equation can be written in this form because all you have to do is take that equation and solve the equation for y. If you're able to get y on one side completely by itself with no coefficient in front of it, put the x term first on the right and then the constant term at the end, you'll be able to quickly identify both your slope and your y-intercept. Let's look at some examples. Let's take the equation 2x plus 3y equals 6, and let's put it in slope-intercept form. What that means is we want to get the equation solved for y. Y is here, which means I need to get rid of the 2x and the 3 in order to solve it for y. So let's start by subtracting the 2x. That leaves me with a positive 3y, so I can just write 3y equals. The 2x then, let's list it first, so we'll have a negative 2x plus 6 on the right. Then I need to separate the 3 from the y. They're being multiplied, so I'm going to divide by 3. Coming over to the right side of my equation, I have to divide by 3, which means I'm going to divide both terms on this side by 3. So that leaves me with y equals negative 2 divided by 3. I can just leave as a fraction negative 2/3 x. And then when I take 6 and divide it by 3, I'm left with a positive 2. I was successful. I solved my equation for y, which means what I have is slope-intercept form. So I can look and I see the value that's right in front of the x, and that's my slope. And I can see the number that's the constant down here that's going to be the y value for my y-intercept. So I know that in this equation my slope, or my m, is negative 2/3, and my y-intercept is a positive 2. What point does that tell me? It tells me that 0, 2 is a point that I could graph automatically on my line. Let's look at another example. Let's take 3x minus 2y equals 0. Let's put this in slope-intercept form so that we can find slope and we can find our y-intercept. I need to solve for y, so the first thing I need to do is subtract the 3x from both sides. Notice this time that I have a minus 2y, so that negative sign has to remain there with my 2y. And I have negative 3x. You can put the plus 0 here if you want. Negative 3x plus 0 doesn't mean a whole lot. The next step is to divide by negative 2. So I have y is equal to, when I divide a negative 3 by a negative 2, the two negative signs are going to cancel each other out, so I have 3 halves, both of them being positive numbers, x. Now since I didn't put the plus 0 here, it may be a little difficult to see, but I actually was able to get this in slope-intercept form. It's the coefficient of my x that tells me my slope, so I know that my slope is 3 halves, or 1 1/2. But my y-intercept, since it doesn't exist here, is actually 0. When your y-intercept is 0, what point do I know on the graph? I right away know that the point 0, 0, which is what we call the origin, is one of the points that I'm going to graph when I graph this equation.